Welcome, everybody, to another installment of Nothing But Net Philippines here, courtesy of ESPN. My name is Aaron Atayde, back from San Francisco, and we're back in the studio to have some fun. And it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have a guest. Joining us today is the man with the sickest shoe game in all of ESPN. And his background will tell you exactly that. The one and only Youngmisuk. How you doing, Om?
What's going on? Just got back from San Francisco after Andre Iguodala's jersey retirement. I'm in Los Angeles for like a day, and then I head back up to San Francisco.
So that leads me to my first question. Because of all the shoes behind you, what was the shoe rotation this last week? That's what I want to know.
I had I'm trying to remember now because I'm at I think close to I think I've been doing this thing on Instagram where I moved a couple years ago, and so I used it as a opportunity to really kind of just force myself to wear all my shoes. I'm 2 months ahead of what I've been posting. I've just been behind, so I can't remember exactly which shoes I wore on Sunday. I think I'm at like 200 shoes now, so it's like
What?
and some of them like I wear and like they just I have to bring two pairs of shoes to games now because I never know if the pair that I'm going to wear for the first time is going to crumble or anything like that. Some of them have like started cracking like right after I wore them. I will say this: Andre Agassi was at the game on Sunday because he was promoting Laver Cup. He is the USA team captain, and he of course wore his Air Tech Challenges, the lava pink ones, which are one of my
What?
all-time favorite shoes. And I have a lot of Air Tech Challenges, but were bought like basically in the early 2010s and stuff like that. So when I start wearing them for the first time, I start to see unfortunately cracks on the side by the bubble, and it looks like the glue is starting to kind of come out, and the sole's going to come off.
See, if you are a true shoe and kick sicko, you know you know these challenges that Ohm is talking about. But yay,
Yeah.
it's massive respect for the shoe game. It's really, really awesome to see you always at the games, bring in the heat, and it's always fun seeing you rock some of the latest kicks over there. Now, speaking of the heat, while you were in Golden State, you got to see firsthand Jimmy Butler wearing his new uniform with a new name even on the back. Now that the dust is settled and he's kind of finding his groove into this lineup, what do you think is the overall mood in the locker room?
Oh, it's totally different. Prior to the trade, they were really sputtering. They had become a 500 team. I mean, they could barely get above 500. They get above 500 one game, and then they lose like two or three straight. And the locker room, like, it was never negative. They liked each other. It's just that they knew they needed a talent infusion. And Jimmy Butler has been everything they've needed and more. First of all, number one, Steph Curry is totally rejuvenated. You can see it in the way he plays. You can see it in his joy, his face. Same thing for Draymond Green. Draymond Green looks like he has an extra pep in his step. He's attacking the basket. He's all over the place. He's a menace. And then Steve Kerr, you can also see it in him. He's totally revitalized by Jimmy Butler. And I think Steve Kerr probably may have had the most appropriate description for Jimmy Butler by saying that his aura, he's like a lion. The way he walks out there, the way he carries himself, the way that he kind of can intimidate the opponent, it feels like they've added a lion on the court. Jimmy Butler's fit in so many things that they need and really kind of helped hide a lot of their weaknesses. Number one, they had trouble getting to the free throw line. Jimmy Butler excels at getting to the free throw line. Number two, when you double team Steph Curry now, they have to do is make one pass, two passes, and it's always the right play now. Jimmy Butler knows how to find the right guy. I think they throw it into him almost like he's a center sometimes, and he's able to just kind of like drive and kick. He's not looking to shoot a lot. I mean, the other night he took 10 shots in Sacramento and had like 18 points. And I said, Jimmy, you barely even shot the ball. And he said, if you know me, I don't take a lot of shots. I don't have a high shot volume. And that's the thing about him that he's fit in IQ wise is that he doesn't need the ball a lot. And when he does touch it, he still makes an impact without doing a lot of dribbling. And that is kind of like the Golden State way. And now you see Moses Moody, Brandon Podjemski, Buddy Hield. These guys are getting like wide open shots and they're all scoring. And now everybody's sharing the ball. And it feels like the Warriors when they were 12-3 early in the season, when they felt like they could really build on something and contend. I think that we haven't even seen playoff Jimmy yet, and I think Golden State will learn about playoff Jimmy. But Golden State feels, and Steph had been telling me this prior to when they acquired Jimmy Butler, they felt like if they could just get in a playoff series, avoid the play-in, but get in a playoff series, they feel with their championship experience, they can beat anyone in a 7-game series. That confidence now is sky high with Jimmy Butler.
Uh, when we were at when we were at San Francisco, when we were at the All Star Weekend, talked to a lot of the Filipinos that were there, and I was just asking them, like, if you had to choose between Clay and Jimmy Butler, who are you going for? I mean, obviously the love for Clay
Yeah.
is unparalleled there, but now that you're starting to see I guess, the form that Golden State is in with Jimmy there, what do you think is the biggest difference between Golden State with Clay and Golden State with Jimmy?
This is absolutely no disrespect to Clay Thompson. I mean, look, the team loves Clay, and of course, he is a champion. He is going to have his jersey retired. When all is said and done, he may even have a statue outside Chase Center. Okay, that's how much he means to the franchise. But Jimmy Butler, I think he has a more versatile game than Clay Thompson. Clay Thompson is terrific at moving without the ball, spotting up and shooting from different angles. He's obviously a much better shooter than Jimmy. I think what we'll see come playoff time is when teams try to force Jimmy Butler to shoot threes, we'll have to see what he does. But one thing I asked Steve Kerr that, and I remember Steve Kerr telling me Jimmy can overcome that because of his strength. He can put you down inside the paint, get you inside, use his strength to draw the foul, get to the rim, score, or find the right guy, make the right play. And so I think right now for this team, on top of like how things ended with Clay, there was kind of like gray clouds following the Warriors that whole season of Clay's last year. Clay just was not happy. Clay obviously wanted the extension. He wasn't getting the extension he wanted. So it was just kind of time to move on. Jimmy Butler has come in and he's been in the best mood possible. He got paid. He's with a new team. He constantly tells us in the media, I just love feeling wanted again. And I
Mhm,
feel wanted again. Now, look, ask me this question a year from now or 2 years from now, could be totally different answer, right?
mhm.
Because wherever Jimmy Butler goes, it doesn't always end well. But wherever he
Yeah.
goes, it always starts off great. And you always get the best Jimmy Butler. And that's exactly what the Golden State Warriors are getting now.
Yeah, another guy that was on the move and was actually in the building. You had a video of Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison in the arena for Andre Iguodala's retirement. There's connections there with agents and Nike, and of course how that went. Nico Harrison and Pelinka will also be in the same building come Wednesday morning Manila time when Luka Doncic is going to play against the Dallas Mavericks for the first time in his career and the first time since being traded. Knowing that Nico is going to be in that building, what do you expect to see from Luka?
Laker fans should be bringing roses to give to Nico on Wednesday for getting Luka Doncic. Look, one thing you don't see in my video that I shot, and I'll provide context, is Nico was walking over and he saw Rob, and they dapped each other up and they hugged. I then pulled up my camera, and as soon as I shot, you see Nico and Sean Livingston, who's between Rob and Nico, hugging. And then Nico talks to Rob real quick, and then Nico backs off. And so people think like Nico is like intimidated by Rob or something. Like no, they
No, no,
totally
no.
dapped
Yeah.
each other up. They've known each other for a long time. Rob Pelinka was there because was Andre Iguodala's agent. Obviously he was Kobe Bryant's agent. That's where the relationship between Rob and Nico developed, because Nico worked with Nike and he worked with Kobe, so they've had a very, very long relationship. Obviously whenever those two are together now, it certainly stirs a lot of feelings for Mavericks fans, because Mavs fans are just still in their emotions and still very salty about the trade, understandably so. I think, look, we still have to give Dallas probably a little more time, because if one, we haven't seen Anthony Davis play outside the one game. Two, we have to see, what Dallas's plan is moving forward. I don't think it's just this one trade. I think it's going to be one move in place of other moves that they're going to do in the future to really try to build this team back up. But of course, when you let go of an all-time talent like Luka Doncic, an all-time great offensive weapon like that, the fan base is going to be extremely upset, especially at that age, and especially because you didn't get maybe more draft picks back, more first-round picks, things of that nature. And then, of course, like Wednesday night is probably not going to help Dallas's cause because Luka Doncic, I mean, he's an emotional player, and hell hath no fury like a scorched earth Luka Doncic, man. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a 60-point triple double or something like that, because I've seen him literally on his own team, like cuss out Rick Carlisle in the playoffs when the Clippers played the Mavericks. And so you can see the fire and fury in Luka Doncic when he feels that he's been wronged or he feels like he's been disrespected by someone, even by his own coach in Rick Carlisle, when Rick Carlisle took him out and he didn't want to be taken out of the game. So I can only imagine what's going to go through Luka Doncic's mind on Wednesday night. The only thing that would slow him down would literally be himself, probably, of him being too emotional. And sometimes when you have these type of revenge games, sometimes they can, even the best stars can take themselves out mentally.
Yeah, if there's one thing that we know for certain, Luka Doncic is going to make sure that Nico Harrison will not forget his name. Here on Nothing But Net Philippines, we will never forget Youngmisuk as well. Thank you for joining us on the show. We cannot wait to have you back hanging out with us once again.
Thanks, guys. Say hello to everybody back in the Philippines for me.
They all say, "What's up, man?" Now, before we go, we have a lot of Philippine basketball to discuss. And it's actually the first time that we're going to touch on the Gilas Pilipinas performance here on Nothing But Net Philippines. So I think it's of utmost importance that we give it as much respect as possible. So they just wrapped up their Doha small pocket tournament that they did. And then they went to the Asia Cup qualifiers. And in the last, week and a half, 2 weeks here, they played 5 games, and Tim Cohn and his boys went 1-4. So, first question that I have for everyone here is, how concerned are you with these results? Because on one hand, yes, they weren't really necessary. This team has already qualified for the Asia Cup. They already know the position that they were going to be in. Regardless of anything, they were going to finish second, which they did at 4-2. But I think that there might be some concerns of how they actually did perform. See, on one hand, most of all, actually, for me, this team looked so tired out there. They were sluggish on closing out on defense. They were sluggish on moving on off-ball plays, on offense. And the over-reliance on Justin Brownlee was just so evident. And I think that that is going to be a problem moving forward because of two main things for me. One, the lack of size, not having Kai Soto there on both the offensive and the defensive end, was felt beyond belief. Kai in the middle opens up the floor for everyone else, and Justin, JB, rather, and the rest of the team are able to make some moves when Kai is in there being a force. But now that he's not there, the over-reliance on JB is felt. And in turn, the outside shooting for this team, the second problem that I saw, was even more evident. There was a time when, of course, we had JV Casio and Marshall Lassiter and Chris Lutz shooting three-pointers. And now we don't have that. We don't have a Don Ontiveros. We don't even have like a Gary David out there that is opening up the lane for players like AJ Edu, who was playing fantastic, by the way. So my concern is how beat up and how exhausted this team is. I don't think the 3-game that pocket tournament that they did them any good, because they were playing so many minutes out there. And instead of getting players like maybe KQ or CJ, or even players like Chris Newsom a little bit more time on the ball and being more of the production on the offensive end, I think that it might have done a lot more harm for this team. Then again, this is Tim Cohn coaching. He knows more about basketball than I will ever forget. I mean, it's just, or rather, he's forgotten more about basketball than I will ever know. So that is my question. How concerned are you with the performance that we saw from Gilas Pilipinas? Second question that I have is, how will this affect the PBA playoffs now that the semis are right around the corner? Of course, the semifinals have already been cemented. You have the number 1 seed Northport taking on Barangay Ginebra San Miguel. The last time that Northport was in a semifinal was back in 2019 against BGSM. So this is going to be a fun one. But at the same time, You talk about Scotty Thompson and you talk about Justin Brownlee. These guys are gassed. Sobrang pagod na yung dalawa. And they're going to come back from a FIBA tournament and go straight into a high-octane, up-tempo basketball series against Northport. I think Ginebra is going to win it, but I think Northport is going to get off to a good start here. They're going to know that the legs are just not there right now. I think a 2-1 early series lead for Northport, but a six-game series win for Ginebra at the end. And the second one, it's a third straight time in a playoffs that TNT will be taking on Rain or Shine. And I think that TNT is going to have the upper hand here. I think it's going to go the distance. It's going to be a really good series. It's always fun when these two franchises go at it. So I say BGSM in 6, TNT in 7, BGSM and TNT in the finals. Who do you think will be in the finals of the PBA playoffs? Do let us know. Make sure you head on over to espn.ph for more details on all of the movements, whether it's Gilas, the PBA, and more. Until next time, this has been Aaron Atayde. Check it in for Nothing But Net Philippines. We'll see you all again next week.